It's past time to expose the Democrats and Republicans for usurping liberty and freedom. What you are about to hear is the amalgam of passion and truth. This is the Southern Liberty Radio Show. Good evening. Welcome to this episode of good old Southern Liberty. I appreciate y'all stopping in this evening as always. We're going to get this thing on and popping correctly as we should, because we know how we do around these parts. I want to let you know if I can get the camera going here for some reason. This is odd. The camera's not on. Maybe if I do it that way, that'll help. That'll help us out a lot. But anyway, hey, I appreciate y'all, love y'all, all that good stuff. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Let's get it on and popping today. And before we get into the thick of it, I want to make sure y'all remember Torture Liberty Media Foundation on your screen. Make sure you pull up, check us out over there, see what we're doing over there. We're at Torture Liberty Media, but I want to send you over to the flagship where we're doing the work over at the Ninth Amendment Project. You already know what it's about. It's about the Ninth Amendment and how we stand for all the unenumerated rights that are not written in the Constitution. Those rights are retained by the people, not by the state. But too many people decide that the state should take control of everything, and we have to fight against that. We're probably a century behind, because there hasn't really been any true Supreme Court or any court precedent on the Ninth Amendment. Couple cases, but that's about it when it comes to the Ninth. But if you don't use the Ninth for what it's used for, it becomes what I've dubbed it as the silent sentinel. And it just gets forgotten. All the laws and everything is written into statute. But you'll see here on our lovely website, notamendmentproject.org, all spelled out. You can see what we're about. We talk about what our mission is. You can read that, the work we're doing in this regard. Or we do have a strategic roadmap that we're going by to get to these things. You can see it's 4 different phases, and you can see where we are in those in those particular line items. So that is what we're doing. We also have the Declaration on Enumerated Rights that I've written. We've kind of thrown it here. What we're standing on business as always when it comes to our rights that are to be protected. And we're also doing, policy pieces, and we're sending these out actually to elected officials in those particular states, or whoever has, the jurisdiction to remove or vote on or listen to these different things. And these are all here. These are actually under the scriptorium of the people. That is, the scriptorium of the people is basically going to be people that's going to be writing these pieces, right? To further advocate for the Ninth Amendment. You can see the ones we did. The biggest one that we're going to be talking about this tonight is the Commission on Presidential Capacity to Discharge the Powers and Duties of Office Act, introduced by Jimmy Raskin. We'll get into that tonight. But you can go and check out what we're writing and where we're pulling constitutional and court precedent and authority from on those. So you yourself, the people, the wonderful people, can be educated also on these things, because this is, we got to fight. This is all of our fight. So please make sure you guys swing through and check these things out. And if there's a pledge screen also on here, the 9AP Pledge of Sovereignty. You can read through that, what that means. You can sign up for it, and it actually puts you on the email list. And as we send out policy proposals, advocacy papers, constitutional white papers, things of that nature, you'll get notified when those things come out. We'll send those directly to your email. So you can read them in your email, and you can come to the site if you want to, add any more content, any more comments, anything to that. But this will set you up to get all these things sent to your email directly, so you can keep up what's going on with our fight for the silent sentinel and it not to be ignored, the good old Ninth Amendment. And last but not least, if you have some thoughts on your head and they're liberty minded, they're minarchist minded, they're Ninth Amendment minded, um, we are looking for people that want to um, let their knowledge be known on paper, and you can write as a pseudonym. We got all that's covered here. And again, if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Get a hold of me through here, through the website. You can get a hold of me, info at the Ninth Amendment Project.org. It's all here. But this is the baby right here. That's the baby. I'm excited to actually have that off the ground, on and popping as always, because we have a very unnatural fight in front of us. Now that we got that out of the way, and don't forget the Patreon. Don't forget Patreon. Patreon is what it do, and we'll start figuring out how to cross everything over into Patreon. Also, for those of you that are not on those websites, well, I'll figure out a way to get integrated and crossed over so it all looks nice, right? Um, with that being said, let's get to the meat and potatoes because we're not going to be here too long. 'Cause there's not much going on, and everybody is war fatigued, conflict fatigued, Middle East fatigued. I call it exhaustion. I'm exhausted over this, right? There's other things going on, right, than Iran. And now I know we talked about the whole. We haven't talked about the Eric Swalwell thing, but I'm going to keep it real with you, right? It's just like all the rest of it. We those of us that have been in this politic game for a while, or have been paying attention to the politics, we know the jig is up, right? We know they do this every time when someone gets close to power. They throw out the sexual allegations, like the last girl was sitting on the TV. Well, he did this to me like 3 years ago, and I didn't want to say anything. No, stop. Now you come out because he's running for governor. Like, and I know some of you are going to be like, Rod, you know, um, he did it. He should pay for it. Yeah, great. If he did, he did. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The timing with Trump, with the sexual abuse and crap allegations, even through court, seems kind of untimely, right? I hold the same principle for Swalwell. I may not like his politics, right? But I think we all know a smear when we see one, right? Nancy Pelosi told you how it worked, right? The wrap up smear, right? She told you how it worked. Again, people, I'm not advocating for Swalwell. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's quite untimely when people get close enough to power or they get close enough to something. This establishment, this deep state, will pull out all of the guns to get you out of the way. And what's the best pistol they got? Sexual abuse allegation. Because because in today's climate, don't get me wrong, and ladies, please don't get me wrong. Every sexual abuse case, assault case against women should be taken seriously. It should be taken seriously. Don't get me wrong on that, right? But on the other side, we have to understand how the government has used it as a weapon to move people out of power because they don't either want them there or they know something they may not or shouldn't know, right? Now, granted, right? Let's keep it 100, right? Eric Swalwell could have been Seth Riched, right? Y'all remember Seth Rich? He could have been Seth Riched. But they decide to point out the easiest gun to move you out of the way is the sexual abuse allegation. They do it every time. Every single time. And it's disgusting. I'm sorry, it's disgusting to use women in that manner to remove people from political power. Right? Because again, right? Let's remember, we had him on Fang Fang. Huh? We had him on Fang Fang with his little thing in his hand, putting it in Fang Fang. Huh? We got him ironclad, right? Hmm? But they didn't take him out then, did they? They didn't take him out then. They waited until he was going to grab more power. And the power structure said, nah, you can't get that. Not only are we going to destroy your political career, we're going to destroy your family at the same time. Right? They did it on Kavanaugh, right? They weren't successful, but they did it on Kavanaugh, right? Christine Blasey Ford. I remember from 35 years ago, Brett Kavanaugh put his finger in a place it wasn't supposed to be. This is what they do when they don't want people in power and not take people out of power. This is what they do. They use sexual abuse, sexual assault, and again, right? Again, I need to strongly reiterate that it's unacceptable to abuse women and all that, just so people don't get the wrong idea. But at the same time, I'm telling you again, probably the third time within the last 6 minutes, the government uses it as a weapon as ad nauseum, watch this, using women's bodies. Here's what's fucked up. Here's what's fucked up. Here's what's really fucked up. The government using women's bodies, right, through coerced or uncoerced commerce. Hmm? Y'all hear what I'm telling you, right? Because if that sexual assault happened, I'm sorry, what? That sexual assault happened, why didn't it come out then? Don't get me wrong. Now, let's flip the script again. Tara Reid came out about Joe Biden. They shut Tara Reid up, didn't they? That sexual abuse allegation didn't matter. Because the political people that were in power didn't want to remove Joe Biden out of power. So it's fuck Tara Reid. What about Bill Clinton? Yeah. Juanita Broderick? Juanita Broderick came right out there and said, hey, Clinton did this. Nah, fuck you, Juanita. The political machine didn't want to take him out of power. With a sexual abuse allegation. I just find it so fucking ironic, right? I find it ironic that women's bodies are a political game, right? I find it disgusting that the government uses women's bodies for political power and gain. And you made a very valid point, Christy. It does show us that women are worthless, minorities are worthless to the deep state. Because who does the deep state and the establishment propagandize more, and then prop up with once they've been propagandized? Women and minority groups, don't they? This is their MO. This is their MO. This is what they do. It's disgusting. I'm sorry. It is completely and thoroughly disgusting. I mean, even to a point where they have a fund that we know about, but don't know how much money is in it and who's taking money out to pay off allegations to shut women up. That's even worse. What's Lord bless me with the words I'm about to say, and I don't stumble. That's the disgusting part. You hear what I'm saying? That's the disgusting part. They have a fund set up with our money to shut up sexual abuse accusers. Here's $100,000. Shut up. How fucked up is that? How freaking screwed up is that? If there's no other evident way to tell you that the government doesn't care about people, especially minority groups and special interest groups like women, I mean, the government is allowing men in the women's restrooms just because they say I'm a woman. Hmm? No, you ain't Shania Twain. I feel like a woman. No, you don't, motherfucker. No, you don't. You feel like a man with a complex or some other shit going on. That's what you look like. Hmm? Your penis still get rock fucking hard. And you go into a woman's bathroom saying that you a woman. I don't know a woman with a rock hard penis. And if she did, I'd be running for my ass. Hmm? But y'all ain't ready for that commentary right now. Y'all ain't ready for that commentary. But it's just flat out disgusting. But that's enough about Swalwell and the government and what they're doing. We got to get to the meat and potatoes so we can get out of here this evening at a decent hour. Right. Now, just so y'all know, 3 days ago, that representative from Maryland, Jamie Raskin, and about 50 Democrats decided that your vote, the one you cast in the box for the president of the United States, needs a second opinion, right? From a board of unelected psychiatrists and bureaucrats. They call it the Commission on Presidential Capacity Act. You know what I call it? You seen the title when it came in? A Diagnostic Coup. Right? I thought Democrats were about the non-voter suppression, right? It seems like this week Democrats have gone against their own principle, huh? But I'm gonna explain more here in a minute. So Jamie Raskin's bill, okay, would create a permanent 17-member body authorized, which is I mean, don't get me wrong, we go look at the Constitution, right? Let's keep it G, let's keep it real, because you know what I'm about to do here. We're going to bring up, where's it at here? Here it is. We're going to bring up that thing called the United States Constitutions. Mm-hmm. Let's get the Constitution on the screen here. This is the 25th Amendment. Just so you know, this is the 25th Amendment, Section 4. And the part that he's acting on, right, is this part. Thereafter, when the president transmits to the president pro tem of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume the powers and duties of his office unless the vice president and a majority of the principal office of the executive department or of such other body as Congress may provide by law, right, transmit within 4 days to the president pro tem of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives that the written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. That is what Jamie Raskin is creating around that. This is what they're doing. Man, I can make myself a little bit smaller. There we go. This is what these people are trying to do here with our 25th Amendment, right? So this 17-member body, right? The 17-member body, and I'll end up showing you in statute in the bill in a second, right? Is going to be filled with retired statespersons, physicians, and psychiatrists that act as the ultimate arbiters of fitness. They cite no, watch this. This is what Raskin is going on, right? They're citing Trump's volatile stance on Iran, okay, and his incoherent statements as of having a political backbone is now a clinical symptom. I want to play the video real quick, right? I'm going to play the video real quick that Jamie Raskin had a nerve to post. Let me see if I can get it to come up on here appropriately, and that would be great. It'd be the first time I've actually played a video on here. So y'all chill with me a second as I get these things. Oh, there it is.
Hey everybody, it's Congressman Jamie Raskin from Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District and the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee. You know, one of the wild things about living in the Trump period is there are entire parts of the Constitution that nobody really focused on before that come alive. For example, the Foreign Emoluments Clause or the Domestic Emoluments Clause. Nobody talked about them much before Donald Trump came to town and turned the presidency into a huge money-making operation. But another thing that has really come into focus for people is the 25th Amendment, added to the Constitution in 1967 to deal with the problem of continuity in office and stability of government. There are 4 sections in the 25th Amendment. The first one just says that if the presidency is vacant, the vice president becomes president, which oddly enough was not certain before. It was unclear whether the vice president was the acting president or actually the president, and this established that the vice president becomes president. Section 2 deals with the problem of a vacancy in the vice presidency, saying the president nominates the vice president, and then it's up to the House and the Senate to approve that choice by majority vote. Section 3 of the 25th Amendment is what I like to think of as the colonoscopy provision, because it's been used during a number of presidential colonoscopies where the president temporarily and voluntarily signs over the powers of office to the vice president while the president is under anesthesia or otherwise temporarily incapacitated. But what everybody's talking about these days is Section 4. What it says is that the vice president and a majority of the cabinet, or the vice president and a majority of another body set up by Congress, can determine that the president is unable to successfully discharge the powers and duties of office and thereby transfer the powers and duties to the vice president. And so this is really for a situation where the president becomes physically or mentally or cognitively unable to do the job. And the vice president gets together with a majority of the cabinet or a majority of a body set up by Congress. Well, that body should have been set up back in 1967, back when the 25th Amendment was first passed. It was never set up. Yesterday, I introduced H.R. 8275, the Commission on Presidential Capacity to Discharge the Powers and Duties of the Office Act. And the bill sets up this commission on a totally bipartisan basis. Half of the members are appointed by the majority leaders of the House and the Senate, half are appointed by the minority leaders of the House and the Senate. And the 16 members would then choose a chair to serve for them. But half of the people are there because of their experience in the executive branch of government. They're a former president, they're a former vice president, attorney general, surgeon general, secretary of the Treasury, secretary of defense. Half of them are there because of their medical expertise, and so they've got to be physicians, and half of those must have some experience in psychiatry, psychology, cognitive science, and so on. So this would be an independent body that Congress has set up. Obviously, the cabinet in normal times is really partial to the president. And today, of course, Donald Trump insists on absolute, undivided loyalty and subservience to him in his cabinet. That underscores the importance of us setting this body up. But the body's for all time. It's a standing, continuing body that should have been set up decades ago, but it should last for all time because, as the framers of the 25th Amendment put it, like Senator Birch Bayh, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, whose older brother, John F. Kennedy, had just been assassinated several years before. We only have one president. We have 535 members of Congress, but we've only got one president. And so the fitness of the president, the ability of the president to discharge the powers and duties of office are, of essential importance in our constitutional scheme. And the 25th Amendment was, of course, added in the nuclear age We saw the other day how terrified the country and the world were when Donald Trump was threatening the nuclear extinction of a civilization, the destruction of a civilization. So I put this bill in. I think I've got something like 70 or 75 co-sponsors in the first day. I'm hoping that we will be able to get every member of Congress to join onto this legislation, because it is simply following through on what is called for in the 25th Amendment, which is the creation of another body that can act alongside the cabinet and alongside the vice president, who's a necessary actor in either case, in order to make certain that we have a president who can successfully conduct the powers and duties of office. So that's what HR 8275 is all about. Check it out, and thank you for tuning in, everybody. Hey everybody, it's Congressman Jamie Raskin from Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District and the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee. You know, one of the wild things about living in the
city. I'm actually taking it back. He sat right there. Y'all heard him. He sat right there on that video. Y'all saw right here on this part of my screen here, right? And said that Donald Trump, he's going to go nuclear on us. Lord, I'm trying. Lord, Lord, I have reformed my mouth. Lord, I have reformed my mouth. I don't ever utter foul languages ever again. But he makes me want to. He makes me want to. Oh my God. Oh, the N word, and because the nuclear word, right? Not the N word, but the nuclear, right? Oh man! And I bet you everybody watched that video. Yeah, Jamie, get him. So we're gonna sit here while we're here. While we're here, hold please. While we're here, because we in the building, right? We here. Let's go ahead and look at his the bill that he wrote. This is the bill. This is the bill. And I'll put it on a Patreon so y'all can download it and read it. But it's basically worded right out of the 25th Amendment, right? Determination, right, under subsection A. Obviously, and these are physical illness or disability, mental illness or deficiency, or alcohol or drug use. Isn't that fucking ironic? And any other condition or contingency rendering the president unable to execute the powers and duties of the office of the president. Okay, so you're gonna have a commission on him if he's dead? That's the only other condition or contingency that would render the president unable to execute outside of the three things you listed. So here it is. So here's how the commission is going to be formed, Lord. Here's how it's going to be formed. So it's going to be 17 people. 2 members appointed by the majority leader of the Senate. 2 members appointed by the minority leader of the Senate. 2 members appointed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and 2 members appointed by the minority leader of Speaker of the House of Representatives. 8 members, watch this, 8 members of whom are former high-ranking executive branch officers appointed jointly by the 2 appointing individuals in subparagraphs A and D. So paragraphs A and paragraphs A and D. Okay, there we go. Who are members or caucus with the Democratic Party, 4 of whom are formerly high-ranking executive branch officers appointed jointly by the two appointing individuals under paragraphs A and D, whom are members or caucus with the Republican Party, and each of whom has served as president, vice president, secretary of state, attorney general, secretary of treasury, secretary of defense, or surgeon general. 1 member to serve as chair of the commission appointed by simple majority vote of the 16 members appointed under paragraph A through E. The chair may not be any member appointed under any such subparagraphs. For purpose of appointing the chair, a voting quorum shall be established by the presence of 50% plus 1 of the members appointed under such subparagraphs. Failure of appointment. If any appointment under paragraph 1 is not made, the commission shall consist of members duly appointed. Da 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 da. I'm not going to get it. You can read that later, but you see what they're doing. We see what they're doing. We see what they're doing because you got 8 members, half and half. So you have 4 for Democrat, 4 Republican appointees, right? So we've gone from an administrative body to a political body, right? Democrats and Republicans play on the same team. They dribble the same basketball. And then you're going to have physicians and stuff. This is crazy, man. This is literally nutsoid, right? I mean, I just want to go back on the facts that the fact that Jamie Raskin sat here and tried to cite the president's volatile stance on Iran with and he added nuclear to make it hyperbolic. Fucking idiot. Ooh, forgive me, Lord. And calling and even calling his statements incoherent. Like, let's keep it real. If having a political backbone is a clinical symptom, I think every president should have been gotten rid of a long time ago, right? Like this annoys me. I mean, he basically said he said in that video, right? And I'm gonna put it like this, right? He literally sat there in that video and said that foreign policy stances, right? Or Trump, let me say this right. Trump's foreign policy stances should are medical proof of incapacity. That's what he's saying. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? But what's even worse, right? What's even worse, right? Forget this part, right? Let's get to the systemic part of this, right? This commission is a permanent legislative veto over the executive branch, right? Because it can bypass the impeachment clause and it can bypass the ballot box. You hear what I'm telling you, right? These people will, if this passes, they'll create a body. Forget impeachment. We go to this administrative state political commission and get him out. Screw your vote. Screw your whole vote. What you voted for. They're the final arbiters of your vote if this such commission comes into place. I think we need to amend the 21st Amendment to take the body part out. Just like you say, there's only 535 of us, but there's only 1 president. Yeah, and all of you should be subjected to the same type of commission if that's the case. If it's good enough for the president, it's good enough for all 535 of y'all. Period. Just don't do it because it's Trump, right? Or are they going to turn around? Well, Biden, he really wasn't with us. You see how they backtrack. Biden really wasn't there, but no. The audacity of you to bring up something like this when you should have brought it up last year with Biden, I would have had more respect for it, right? But you bring it up now as a political weapon, you jackass. God, Lord forgive me. Lord forgive me. I think at the end of the day, the Democrats are trying to grab onto any straws of power they can. That's what I personally think. And it gets worse. It gets worse. People, it gets worse. Because earlier this week, right? Right? While Jamie Raskin was playing on the screen on Monday, Mayonnaise Mandy in Virginia. You know who Mayonnaise Mandy is, right? Y'all know Mayonnaise Mandy. Abigail Spanberger, you know the governor? Yeah, Mayonnaise Mandy. Um, she signed HB 965 into law. So you're gonna probably ask me what is HB. Let me pull it up here. Wrong one. There it is. So you're gonna ask me what's HB 965? HB 965 is an act to amend and reenact Section 24.2 through 243 of the Code of Virginia, and to amend the Code of Virginia by adding Chapter 2 of Title 24.2 and Article number 2.1, consisting of sections number 24.2 through 209.1 and 24.2 through 209.2 relating to the presidential electors and the agreement among the states to elect the president by national popular vote compact. Of Virginia, Virginia, um, the people of Virginia, the corporation of Virginia just surrendered your vote. Actually, they said, screw your vote. We're going to, regardless of what you say, we're going to go with the rest of the country. Right? They have what this bill they signed does is pledge their 13 electoral votes to whomever wins the national vote, even if every person in the Commonwealth votes the other way. Literally, the liquidation of state sovereignty to please the urban centers in California and New York and Nova. Those of you that don't know Nova, that's Northern Virginia, right? To satisfy those in Tidewater, which is Hampton Roads area, right? Hampton, Newport News, all that area, Virginia Beach, right? This is what Mayonnaise Mandy signed into law. Like it's in literally in the same spirit that experts know better than the constitutional process, right? This is absolutely crazy. Virginia is now the 19th jurisdiction to sign on to this compact. Right? So this compact now is at 222 electoral votes. They're only 48 away from the 270 threshold needed to effectively dismantle the Electoral College. Yeah. This really has me worried. And everything that's holy, this has me very worried. This is the website. You can go look at this information on nationalpopularvote.com. And you can see if your state has signed on to this, signed on to this bullshit, signed on to the usurpation of your rights. And look, I want to go there. I'm gonna go there, and I want, because I'm being good, but I want the permission from my listeners, both on the radio and here in the chat. And those that know how to do that, go to Southern Liberty on our Heart Radio, hit the microphone, and give me your answer. Those on Rumble and YouTube and Twitch and Kick, you can participate too. Just put one in the chat and I'll see it. So here's my question. Should I use their weapon against them? Should I use the Democrats' own weapon against them? Put a one in the chat if you approve. I see y'all over on the Twitch side. Okay, I see you. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's go there. These Democrats talk mighty big about the SAVE Act, right? They talk big about the SAVE Act, how it's going to be voter suppression, right? Isn't that what they said? So, folks, let me let me see if I can pull it up right. Actually, I don't want to do it that way. I don't want to do it that gets convoluted real quickly. I'm pulling up some statistics for you, but that gets convoluted real quick. See if I can do it this way. Okay, I'm gonna have to use the AI overview for this one, but it is valid. It is very valid. Let's go here. They want to talk about voter suppression. They want to talk about how Republicans want to suppress the vote. Let me get my big head. Let me move my big head over here. Aha! I can move my big head over here. Aha! Let me show you something. 58% white, 18.3% black, 11% Hispanic or Latino, 7% Asian. Right. I want y'all to think about this a minute, right? Just in those numbers alone, what do you got? 29.9 plus 7. So you are literally going to dilute the minority vote in your state. You're going to literally dilute their vote. No matter who they vote for, you're going to dilute their vote. This is crazy. But we're not racist. We're just the SAVE Act is racist. This National Voter Compact is racist. On its face. Dead on arrival, it should be. Again, going back to what we talked about in the beginning when we talked about Swalwell, right? These people don't care about women or minority groups, and it shows. We've showed you twice. Right? We've showed you twice. And here's the biggest fuck you. To us folks that live in the rural areas, fuck you. Your voice don't matter. F off. Unless you live in a city, you don't matter. You don't matter. But I'm gonna take you back over to the website though. You can see here all of the states, and you can drill down. We know for sure Florida is not going to be on board. I think they did try it though. Yeah, they tried to introduce it here in Florida. It didn't work in 2025. They introduced it again, didn't go anywhere, and it won't go anywhere. But if we look at a state, let's take a state like I think Oregon's already on board. I think they passed it already. I think Oregon passed it. Yeah, they passed it in 2019, and then Senator Smith introduced a bill to repeal it. Right. So let's look at the status of that bill, because I think at the same time that we could I think that might be something I work on in between time. Yeah, that's still in it's been tabled, which means it'll never come up. But like I say, you can look at these on your own and see what it's all about. This is crazy. This is just these people hate America. These people hate America so bad, right? So bad that they will do like they did pre-Civil War, right? They can't sit here and tell us, oh, it's Republicans and is it no cap. I just showed y'all only two instances. I haven't even have to dig. Two instances that the people really talk out the other side of their damn neck, and people just go right on with it. Ooh. I want to bring up one more thing before we go, though. One more thing, if y'all don't mind. I won't take long. It's happening. Actually, I see New York in the chat. New England. It's speaking about New York. We're gonna go there. Let me put this up on screen. It's on the Ninth Amendment Project. Y'all can go and read it for yourself. When you get a leisure. But let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and put this down. The scriptorium of the people. Here we go. New York City. New York City. Yes. They introduced intro number 518-2026, the Delivery Protection Act. This bill, right, would force people like Amazon. I might need to make that bigger, huh? Would force people like Amazon to hire all of their contractors as full-time employees. Yes, yeah, I'm not joking. New York City is trying to force Amazon and other couriers that use contractors, right, to hire them outright. Yeah, yeah. This is crazy. This is literally crazy work. What they're trying to do. They're trying to. I mean, forget your right to contract, right? As you see here, I have it written in here, right? So I'm kind of just spewing on because I wrote this a few days ago, so I'm kind of refreshing my own head on what I wrote here on this, right? But you know, the audacity of the government to tell someone, a private business, how to run their business. But I thought that other team, we're not fascist, blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're not fascist. Yep, you're just going to force companies to bend to the will of the government, but you're not fascist, right? Hmm. But as you see here, as I listed, they're going to have a problem once it's passed. You're going to have a problem. Article 1, Section 17 of the New York Constitution will literally throw that bill in disarray. You're not going to be able to pass it and have it work. I'm glad for that. New York did something right when they added things in their constitution, right? But y'all can y'all can go read that over on the Ninth Amendment Project and all that good stuff. But I'm upset, but I do have hope that the light and the will of the people will prevail. These people in these high places or what have you, we need to get them out. 86 them, as they like to say, 86-45. Yeah, 86. Everybody that is anti-liberty, y'all need to get out. Bye, Felicia. You ain't doing nobody any good. Zero. I did have a couple of petitions put together, but I found out that the service that I was referred to by people that I know to post the petitions are progressives. Progressives and libertarians are like oil and extra water. I'm motor oil and they're vegetable oil. We don't mix. They show up as little spots in the motor oil. I'm motor oil, right? I had to shut all that down. I said, "Oh no, I'm not gonna have progressives coming after me." No, I was just like, "No, not doing that." So I'm working on to get them up, so we can get this on, get these things in these people's faces, and fight like hell, like the devil. So, with that, guys, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Keep your head to the sky. Keep your mind on all things clean and neutral in nature. Do things that make you feel good. Because there's so much evil surrounding us right now. And we can succumb to it if we don't pay attention. Look to the sky. Absorb the sun. Go fishing this weekend. Go hike a trail. Get away from these screens. Officially, I'm going to let you know next weekend is going to be no screen weekend. We're going to start that again, but this time we're going to stick to it. I'll put up information for it. A little bit later, we're going to do no screen weekend. We're going to just get away from the politics. Because the politics are about to heat up. And everybody's going to be glued to the screen. You can unplug for 2 days. The world's not going to miss you when you're doing it, right? So with that being said, remember, love your neighbors. Love your family. But ultimately, you got to love yourself in order to give love. Until next time, y'all. Peace and love, y'all.